Of course, yeah, it was a huge disappointment. Obviously thought about this quite a bit. Injuries are inevitable, and they're never going to happen at a good time, but that really felt like the worst time. Um, I've struggled with my back in prior years, and it's really kind of my Achilles heel to an extent. But I mean, I have full confidence in the training staff and our medical teams plan for me and plan to manage it. So, um, like I said, injuries happen, and I'm sure I won't be injury free for the rest of my career. But I'm sure everything will be okay.
In some ways, was this season, the way it unfolded, more difficult than last year because of the way it started?
I was actually just talking to our staff about that. In many ways, this year feels more disappointing than last year. I think last year, maybe we weren't a playoff team last year. And this year, I felt like we were a team that really could have competed for a number of trophies, but ultimately didn't. And for whatever reason that is, of course it adds to the disappointment because, I liked our team this year and I really believed in us.
There was definitely a drop-off for whatever reason that last month and a half. Is that going to be the difficult thing for everyone to sort of reflect on? That we could have done something, but we dropped off there, and now there's probably inevitable changes that are going to happen.
Yeah, no, of course, absolutely. Change is inevitable, and change in sports when you don't win is, absolute. So, of course, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of hard decisions that have to be made. But, I think for whatever reason, this is almost starting to become a trend for RSL is, in the kind of the last third of the year where we seem to hit a little bit of a lull. And, it's really exemplified in this season, obviously, the last 8 games. But it's something we need to identify and obviously fix because, it kept us out of a prime playoff position.
Jeff said on the radio yesterday that he felt like you guys were pressing as, the draws and losses came and the wins didn't. Did you guys feel that in the locker room?
Pressing, what do you mean?
Just like maybe trying a little extra
Yeah.
to turn it around and maybe not play as loose or relaxed as you guys traditionally do.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, like Jeff said, that's just a product of the circumstance. I think, when things aren't going your way, you tend to overthink things and, to work harder and it becomes less natural and more forced. But still, I mean, every team in the league is in that situation at some point, not just us, the smallest market in the league. So I think, no matter who you are as a professional, you have to figure that out.
2 years now to the 4-3-3. How do you feel like this group is acclimated to the new look?
I think it's honestly still a work in progress. Towards the end of the year, I started watching some of our games from the beginning of the year, the first 10 games. And I thought our ball movement was considerably better earlier on in the year than the latter half of the year. And, I'm not sure why that is. But I think we're still trying to figure out when kind of to use certain personnel in this formation and when is the best time to rotate players and, when is the best time to give players rest and how to really just ultimately be continuously successful in this formation throughout the course of a 34-game season. So in no way is it perfected, but I do see promise there.
Tony, you beat Dallas and Colorado, the best teams in the MLS back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
What happened after those 2 games when it seemed that you guys had the momentum?
I wish I had the answer for that. Sports, it's often difficult. It's never just one thing. It's a combination of things, whether tactically, confidence-wise, of course we hit a little bit of a scoring lull. But I think, and the team that didn't have a lot of success last year, I think kind of there was a negativity that was bred throughout the locker room, and we shouldn't let that happen. And, ultimately that led to us just being in a very difficult position the last 8 games of the year. And, I think our play, you could see that as a result of it.
Tony, would you like to see Jeff come back?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think, it's been, obviously I have, a front row seat to the last 3 years of Jeff Cassar's tenure, his first 3 years as a head coach. And, you know, I'm sure, you know, it looks easy for a lot of people to have that position, but it's not. It's a very difficult job, you know, and it's the best way to describe it is a full-time job. And so I think, you know, I've been able to see Jeff's evolution over the past 3 years, and he's really made some great strides in his coaching ability, and also, you know, which is very important, his managing men. You know, you have to be a very good leader of men to be in that role. And so I hope he has the opportunity to continue to grow, but ultimately, you know, of course, it's not my decision to be made.